Welcome to the Letter of the Law on Bloomsbury Radio at the Bloomsbury Institute with Raj Palmer. Today we're exploring an issue that may surprise many listeners, the link between asbestos and everyday cosmetic products like talcum powder and makeup. Yes, you know all about that. Joining me is Isobel, partner and head of Asbestos and Workplace Illness team at Hodge Jones and Allen Solicitors. Isobel, thank you so much for being here today.
Hello.
Before we dive into today's topic, could you tell our listeners a little more about your role at Hodge Jones and Allen and how long you've been with the firm and your specialisms?
So I'm a partner and head of Asbestos and Workplace Illness at Hodge Jones and Allen Solicitors. I joined the firm and set up the department in 2015. So I specialise in asbestos-related disease cases, and I've been helping people affected by those illnesses to claim benefits and bring compensation claims for about 27 years now. I was drawn to work for Hodge Jones and Allen by the firm's long-standing commitment to helping individuals who otherwise would not be able to gain access to justice and to fighting for the rights of the individual against large corporate interests.
Excellent. That commitment really comes across. For listeners who may not be familiar with the firm, could you tell us a little bit more about Hodge Jones and Allen?
The firm was founded in 1977 by Henry Hodge, Peter Jones and Patrick Allen, and they had a strong access to justice ethos. We're a top 250 UK law firm, and almost 50 years on, the firm has grown significantly, and we've been most recently recognised in the Times Best Law Firms 2026 list. Everybody who works at Hodge Jones and Allen follows the philosophy of helping people gain access to the law, irrelevant of the client's means or background. And this ethos has always been at the forefront of what we do. I'm very proud to be part of the Hodge Jones and Allen's team.
You've built an impressive career in this field. What made you want to become a specialist lawyer in mesothelioma cases?
Actually, I didn't set out to be a specialist in this area, but the work found me. So I was already doing cases involving industrial accidents when I was approached to join a firm representing asbestos victims, many of whom had mesothelioma. That was 27 years ago. I found the work to be both intellectually challenging and rewarding in terms of being able to make a real difference where people have had their lives turned upside down by a diagnosis of mesothelioma. I also find the cases satisfying in ensuring as far as I can that the offending companies, or more usually their employers' liability insurers, have to pay compensation for the damage they caused, which was entirely preventable. I'm on the side of David in the battle against Goliath. I enjoy really getting to know my clients and their families, building the case, the tactical thinking involved, and ultimately winning the claim for my clients. I can often secure funding for treatment options which are not available on the NHS. It's usually a race against time though, which adds pressure, but I'm experienced in dealing with that. Ultimately though, I'm conscious that no amount of compensation is truly adequate in a mesothelioma case.
Wow, that really highlights both the human and legal dimensions of this work. To make sure we're all starting from the same point, I just want to reiterate that if all our listeners, if you want to get in touch with us, if you'd like to make an inquiry or learn more about the legal rights, do get in touch. Hodge Jones and Allen email address, which is bilradio@hj.net, or alternatively pick up the phone and dial 03300294446. So we've heard how widely asbestos was used historically, but today we're focusing on something quite unexpected. What's the connection between asbestos and talcum powder or makeup?
So asbestos is a naturally occurring fibrous mineral, and it's mined from the ground. Although it's not found in the UK, it is abundant in other countries, including South Africa, Canada, Russia, Brazil, the US and others. Vast quantities of asbestos were imported into the UK between the 1960s and the 1980s, before it was finally banned here in 1999. Asbestos has many properties which make it very useful. In particular, its heat and fire resistance, and so it was used in the manufacture of lots of different products, ranging from building materials, brake pads, to mattress filling and even cigarette filters. Now, talcum powder and talc-based makeup products are part of everyday life in the UK, but it's still not widely known here that talc-based products can be contaminated with microscopic asbestos fibres. And this can happen because, like asbestos, talc is a silicate mineral which is widely used in manufacturing as a filler or to absorb moisture and prevent caking, which makes it ideal for the use on the body and face. Some cosmetic companies sell talcum powder, body powder on its own, or they use talc as an ingredient in makeup products such as powdered eyeshadow, powdered blusher, powdered bronzer, face powder, and even in mascara. Unfortunately, talc is often found in the same underground rock deposits as asbestos, so they are classed as companion minerals. This means that when talc is extracted and processed, if there's no proper filtering to specifically remove asbestos fibres, they can end up in a canister of talcum powder or in a makeup product which has talc as an ingredient. We now know that the most serious asbestos-related condition, which is malignant mesothelioma, can be caused by extensive use of talc-based body or foot powder or makeup, sometimes decades after use of the product began or even ceased.
Wow, that's incredible. Incredible news there. Can you continue and tell us more?
So, since the 1999 ban on new asbestos use in products in the UK, our regulations require manufacturers to ensure that all talc used is asbestos-free through rigorous testing and supply chain due diligence. So contamination in the UK is rare, although trace amounts are still occasionally detected in products. However, in 2017, it was discovered that asbestos-contaminated talcum powder was in children's makeup on sale in a high street store here. And in 2021, the Health and Safety Executive carried out tests on some cosmetic products which proved positive for asbestos. In 2024, an investigation for a BBC Three documentary identified asbestos fibres in 8 talc-containing cosmetic products purchased from UK high street retailers. However, it isn't just a recent discovery.
Wow, this is incredible. This goes back before that, doesn't it? Over decades, would you say?
Yes, some of the biggest global manufacturers of talc-based cosmetic products have known since at least the 1970s that the talc used in their product was contaminated with asbestos fibres, but they hid this from regulators and consumers. Some diluted the contaminated talc with so-called clean talc, others carried on as usual, reckless as to the potential risk to consumers' health, even though it was well known by the mid-1960s that exposure to asbestos fibres could cause mesothelioma. Profit was simply put before corporate responsibility here. However, some companies have responded by introducing more rigorous sourcing of the talc, which they declare to be asbestos-free, while others have switched to cornstarch-based products to eliminate that risk.
I can already hear what question our listeners are asking, and the question is, can people affected take legal action?
Well, concerns about asbestos in talcum powder have led to vast numbers of lawsuits, and in some cases, settlements for individuals who have developed mesothelioma. In the last decade, cases have been filed in US courts against many big brand cosmetic companies, some of whom produce luxury, high-end beauty products. The US has got a strong legal system for product liability claims, allowing victims to sue companies that manufactured and sold asbestos-contaminated cosmetic products, leading to significant compensation payouts and including the establishment of multi-billion-dollar settlement funds to resolve lawsuits. Some corporations have tried to avoid these liabilities by performing what I believe is known as a Texas two-step, whereby they transfer the talc liabilities to a subsidiary company, which then files for bankruptcy. Meanwhile, the parent company continues trading, usually profitably. Johnson & Johnson, facing the largest number of lawsuits, has tried this 3 times now, but on each occasion the petition has been rejected by the Texan court.
That's fascinating, particularly the developments in the United States. How does that help UK mesothelioma sufferers who may have been exposed in this way?
In the UK, legal action is more challenging because product liability cases here face strict time limits from the date that the defective product was used. Because mesothelioma usually only becomes apparent decades after usage has ceased, our product liability laws do not accommodate such claims. In rare cases, claims have been brought in England based on the manufacturer's negligence. However, UK consumers diagnosed with mesothelioma due to prolonged use of talc-based cosmetic products may be able to bring product liability claims in the US, where the courts have increasingly acknowledged the international impact of asbestos exposure, enabling claimants from outside the US to seek justice there.
So there is a pathway, even if it's complex. Have you and your team worked directly with US attorneys to support UK clients?
Yes, we have. So since 2017, we've been working with US attorneys who specialise in talc product liability cases to help UK mesothelioma sufferers pursue claims in the US. In living claims, an accelerated court process known as the rocket docket is used, and in successful cases, damages are considerably higher than UK awards, due to the availability of jury awards at trial and punitive damages awards, which are designed to punish the wrongdoer. There are also procedural differences. The US legal process is based on oral evidence, but this is often obtained by video link nowadays, avoiding the need for the plaintiff to travel to the US in many cases. Many cases are settled out of court, but under strict confidentiality agreements. Strict time limits apply, and these vary from state to state, so affected claimants shouldn't delay in seeking expert advice if they want to make such a claim.
Fantastic. Lots of information coming out there. If you'd like to make an inquiry and learn more about the legal rights, do get in touch with us via our phone line 03300 294 446 or via email at bilradio@hga.net. Let's now turn to some practical advice. What would you say to someone listening today who has used or is currently using talc or talc-based makeup?
Well, most of us who have used asbestos-contaminated talc products and makeup will not develop mesothelioma, but unfortunately some will. And so my advice is to reduce your risk. Firstly, check ingredients in the product. You usually have to look at the packaging and look out for the word talc. So the full ingredients are often not listed on the packaging, though, and sales staff, I find, are often unaware. And so you may have to check the ingredients on the manufacturer's website. You can also choose alternatives, so opt for cosmetics which are labelled as talc-free, and these often use cornstarch, arrowroot or kaolin clay as talc alternatives. I would say be cautious in using loose powder products, because these particles are more likely to become airborne, and you're applying them generally to your face, so directly into your breathing zone. You can also monitor updates on products from the UK Health and Safety Executive and the Office for Product Safety and Standards for any product recalls. Most of us don't have time to do that, though. We're relying on information we get from the salespeople in the stores. If you're concerned, though, about past long-term use of talc-based products, I suggest you consult a GP or a specialist for health advice.
And crucially, what should someone do if they've been diagnosed with mesothelioma, or if a loved one has?
Well, at Hodge Jones and Allen, we've assisted many clients to secure compensation for mesothelioma caused by historic talcum powder and makeup use. So if you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma, whether due to your past use of talc-based products or through exposure to asbestos dust by other means, do contact us at Hodge Jones and Allen on 03300 294 446 or via email at bilradio@hja.net, or complete our online form on our website, and we'll contact you to discuss your diagnosis of mesothelioma or indeed any other asbestos-related disease. Anyone diagnosed with mesothelioma is likely to benefit from seeking specialist legal advice as soon as possible, and consulting with our specialist asbestos and mesothelioma lawyers can really help patients understand their legal options and help them take early action, which can be crucial in securing justice and compensation for affected individuals and for their families, and to help them secure access to novel treatment options which may not be available on the NHS.
There are a number of law firms specialising in this area. Why should someone contact Hodge Jones and Allen in particular?
Well, at Hodge Jones and Allen Solicitors, we've got decades of experience in helping clients to pursue mesothelioma compensation claims, and we'll dedicate our efforts to ensure that you and your family get the help you need and deserve. We understand that the time following a diagnosis with mesothelioma is incredibly challenging, and so we pride ourselves in providing a bespoke service. We visit you at home or in a hospital if needed. We help our clients with their claims for mesothelioma, and we believe in providing clear and practical advice, always with empathy and support. So our specialist mesothelioma claims team can provide expert legal advice to ensure you receive the best support, treatment and the highest level of compensation.
Thank you. A few quick fire questions we have before we wrap up. First, funding. If someone believes they have a case and wishes to proceed, what will it cost them?
Well, very importantly, our service is provided on a no-in, no-fee basis, so you needn't worry about legal costs. If the claim's successful, you keep 100% of compensation recovered and the defendant pays your reasonable legal costs. If the claim fails, we make no charge and there'll be insurance in place to cover any defendant's costs. The US attorneys we work with on the talc cases charge a percentage of compensation recovered, but only if the claim is successful.
And what happens if the person with mesothelioma is no longer alive?
So it can still be possible for their personal representative to pursue a claim for their estate and for any dependent family member. In this scenario, the death will normally be referred to a coroner to investigate and rule on the cause of death. It's really important that a specialist solicitor is instructed right away to ensure that vital evidence is preserved and to seek the appropriate outcome, which can really have an impact on the claim. Listeners should also be aware there are strict time limits which apply to these claims, so it's important to seek specialist legal advice as soon as possible.
Isobel, partner and head of Asbestos and Workplace Illness at Hodge Jones Allen, thank you very much for your time and sharing your expertise today on what is clearly a hugely important and evolving issue. If you or someone you know has been diagnosed with mesothelioma, whether linked to talc-based cosmetic products or any other asbestos exposure, specialist advice can make a real difference. To make an inquiry and learn more about your legal rights, contact the team at Hodge Jones and Allen on 033 00294 446 or email bilradio@hja.net. You've been listening to Bloomsbury Radio at the Bloomsbury Institute, the letter of the law. Until next time, thank you for joining us.